This will be a brief video. Somebody online was asking me about Gamefowl. The question was, can you keep a bunch of roosters together and they'll just figure out a pecking order? The answer is no. A gamecock will not tolerate another gamecock in his territory. But one thing you can do, I want to explain, is similar to a lion pride, is have a gamecock. Even if you have mixed hens and you want to develop a sustainable backyard flock, this is an example of what you could get. This hen here, I started this family back in 2009 from mongrel birds that I could find and afford at the time. I was living off the grid. I just graduated college, and the only rule I really had is I always had a gamecock with the hens. And so no matter what you start out with, you basically cross to that gamecock. And this video isn't for roostermen, obviously, anybody that's into gamefowl. It's just, if you're into sustainable chickens, they'll turn into this. And so this hen might throw some sons that are game, but I guess the point that I'm making is you still have to have artificial selection and make sure you have a game cock. The reason why is because I like them to be aggressive when it comes to a cat or a rat or a dog or a hawk or, the neighbor's kid walking up to the chicks free range, day old, in the grass, in the dirt, drinking out of a pond, and they survive. And these hens will grow spurs and kick something. They're not afraid to fight. And so, anyway, this hen here is just a mongrel bird that plenty of people wouldn't call game, and I understand that, but it's an example of what you can get with just a few generations. We can say within 5 years, of having a game cock and then having whatever hens you can afford or find and just let them free range. Now, if you don't artificially select, if you have just let natural selection, which is always a factor, even me having pure gamefowl, I let them free range. Well, they get picked off, so natural selection is still a very useful tool. But if you only have natural selection, they will revert back into something that looks like this, but they won't be game because runners survive, and they'll revert back to a jungle fowl. And you can, at that point, have several mature cocks, kind of like a jungle fowl group in the wild, and they'll tolerate each other to a certain extent and being seasonally aggressive. That's not always the case, but there's one good way to find out in your area is just get some chickens, whatever you can find and afford, and maybe invest in a proper gamecock and keep him in a pen, and don't breed his sons, but keep breeding his daughters and his granddaughters and his great-granddaughters back to him. And eventually you'll get a rooster that a stag, let's say, want to allow to mature free range because you can afford to, because you have his original father, obviously. And just experiment and see what you come up with. But this is a beautiful hen, and I wouldn't even sell her. First off, she's not pure. And second, I just like having her around. I mean, this is the first time I've ever held her. And I've admired her for a couple years now, but never had a need to grab her or anything. I just put a tag on her just now. This is the first time I ever grabbed this hen. But she is beautiful, solid, well-built, and she's very clean. The reason why is because she's game enough here. I'm listening to the wildlife. She don't take no crap from other hens. So, anyway, I have different groups of birds, some pure, obviously. I keep pure for reasons, and I have some crossed ones and some mongrel ones, and they're sustainable chickens, and they feed my family, make a bit of money here and there. And they do not get killed so easy. You can hear the barred owls in the back. There's coyotes, there's fox, there's all the mustelids. I don't have badger or wolverine here in Maine, but, man, there's predators all over. Red-tail, Cooper's hawk, goshawks, even bald eagles will come down. And these little hens are tough. They don't get killed too easy, so they're the most sustainable chicken you can have. And again, the only rule I ever had with this flock personally is always had a gamecock around to breed them to. And whether the different breed of rooster or strain of rooster changed or not. I'd never really paid attention to that. It's just, you know, currently I've been using brown reds for the past 4 years. And so she's mostly brown red. But she got probably some Oriental blood way back. Who knows? It depends on what part of the, East Coast I was on. But anyway, somebody was asking about Gamefowl. And if your goal is to have some sustainable chickens, I say invest in a good rooster and try it out. Get a gamecock and see what you think. You'll get beautiful hens just like this. And they're tough.